Hello, it's Malcolm again, and this time we're discussing the sum to 100 problem. And I imagine that when you had a go at this, probably the first thing you did was to actually just randomly pick 10 numbers that add to 100, multiply them together and see what you get. And of course that's not a bad approach, but I'd like to talk about now an approach that a mathematician might take and why this approach might be helpful. Obviously there would be a lot of different ways in which you could approach the sum to 100 problem, but let me illustrate here something that a mathematician might do. And something a mathematician might do would be to actually modify the question so that it's a little bit easier. So instead of asking what's the largest number I can get from multiplying any set of numbers that add to 100, why not modify it to what's the largest number we can get from multiplying just two different numbers that add to 100. Now that's a fairly simple problem. So if we were playing that, the thing to do would be just to try two different numbers that add to 100, say 90 and 10, and see what happens. I multiply them and I get 900. Try two other numbers, 80 plus 20, and 80 times 20 will be 1600. Okay, that looks bigger. Let's try some more. 70 plus 30, and of course here I'm just choosing numbers that are easy to work with. So 70 times 30 here will be 2100. And it seems here, as I look, that these numbers here are getting bigger, and they're getting bigger as these numbers are getting closer together. So here I might guess it looks like the two numbers need to be close, I'll just say close together. So I could predict maybe that I should choose 51 and 49. And so already I've got some insight into how I might go to tackling the larger problem. So let me now, instead of going straight back and attempting the problem as it was, let's now try to be systematic, and let's this time look at three different numbers that add to 100. Now in here, let's choose three different numbers. So let's go 80, let's go 70 plus 20 plus 10. They clearly add up to 100. And 70 times 20 times 10, so here we've got 200 times 7, so that's 14,000 sitting there. Clearly that's bigger than when I had two numbers. So in here already it looks like here's something else that I can pick up, and maybe you didn't pick it up this quick, but this is the idea. In here it seems that having more numbers, so here I had three numbers rather than two, having more numbers is better than having less numbers. So that gives me a strategy now to try and solve the more general problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get as many numbers as I can that add to 100, and I want them to be as close together as possible. That's my strategy for attack now that I've done some specializing with some simple cases. And you can see from not having much idea of what to do, just random trials, that I now have a good idea of how I might go about solving this problem.